Did you know that some everyday foods you think you're protecting by refrigerating can actually become dangerous when stored the wrong way? We're not just talking about processed foods or ones loaded with preservatives. Today, we're shining a light on natural foods, those wholesome items you buy with the best of intentions. But storing them in the fridge? That might actually be creating toxins, stripping nutrients, and even increasing the risk of health problems like cancer, diabetes, or metabolic disorders. So, let me ask, have you ever kept raw potatoes in the fridge because you thought it would help them last longer? What about an overripe tomato? Or maybe that loaf of bread you're chilling to keep mold away? You might be surprised to hear those habits could be doing more harm than good. In today's video, we're unpacking how refrigeration impacts certain foods and what you can do instead to protect both your health and your grocery budget. Let's jump right into it. Mistake number 1. Refrigerating raw potatoes. This is one of the most common mistakes people make. On the surface, it makes sense. Cold slows down spoilage, right? But potatoes are the exception to that rule. Here's why. When you store raw potatoes in the fridge, the cold temperature causes the starch in them to convert into sugar much faster than usual. Now that may not sound like a big deal until you cook them. When these sugar-loaded potatoes are baked or fried in high heat, a chemical reaction happens between the sugars and amino acids. The result? A harmful compound called acrylamide. Acrylamide has been linked in several studies to an increased risk of cancers, including ovarian, esophageal, kidney, and endometrial cancers. Think about that golden, crispy texture we all love on fries or roasted potatoes. That's where acrylamide often lives, especially if those spuds were previously stored in the fridge. And here's the kicker. Even if there are no visible signs like burning or blackened spots, the acrylamide levels can still be dangerously high. But there's more. The humid environment inside your fridge can also speed up spoilage. The potatoes become soft, take on a darker color, and start growing mold or sprouting. So you end up tossing them out anyway. So what should you do instead? Stick to the old-fashioned method. Store raw potatoes in a dry, cool, and well-ventilated spot somewhere dark, like a pantry. A basket or cloth bag works best. Avoid plastic bags at all costs. They trap moisture, which is a big no-no. Bonus tip: when cooking potatoes, keep the temperature under 180 degrees Celsius or 356 degrees Fahrenheit, and try to eat them with the skin on. The skin helps regulate blood sugar levels and keeps the fiber intact. Mistake. #2. Storing tomatoes in the fridge. How many of us toss tomatoes into the crisper drawer without thinking twice? Guilty as charged. But here's what happens. The cold damages the internal structure of tomatoes. It messes with the membranes inside, changing the texture, dulling the flavor, and most importantly reducing their nutritional value. Tomatoes are naturally rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect against aging, inflammation, heart disease, and certain cancers. Lycopene becomes more potent as tomatoes ripen. But if you put them in the fridge, that ripening process stops in its tracks. That means fewer antioxidants and fewer benefits for your body. Ever bitten into a tomato that tasted watery and bland? Chances are it came straight out of the fridge. That mealy, rubbery texture is a result of cold damage. So what's the fix? Simple. Keep tomatoes at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. A countertop or kitchen basket is perfect. Want to speed up ripening? Place them next to a banana or apple. These fruits release ethylene, a natural gas that promotes ripening. Just one word of caution: don't eat tomatoes with green spots or stems still attached. Those green areas contain solanine, a toxin that can be harmful in large amounts. Mistake number 3. Keeping bread in the fridge. Now, let's talk about a food staple in almost every home: bread. Whether it's sandwich bread, artisan loaves, or whole grain varieties, a lot of people put their bread in the fridge, thinking it'll keep it from going moldy. But the truth is, refrigeration actually makes things worse. When you put bread in the fridge, the cold speeds up moisture loss. The starches inside the bread recrystallize faster, making the texture dry and crumbly. That beautiful loaf turns stale, tasteless, and tough. Here's the twist. The fridge might feel dry, but it actually has a fair bit of humidity inside. And guess what thrives in moisture? Mold. Especially if the bread isn't sealed properly or if it's whole grain or naturally fermented, which already contains more nutrients and more opportunities for mold to grow. So what's the best way to store bread? If you're planning to eat it within 2 days, keep it in a cloth bag or airtight container on the counter, somewhere cool, dry, and away from direct sunlight. For longer storage, your best bet is the freezer. Yes, freezing bread is not only safe but actually smart. It locks in the nutrients, prevents mold, and minimizes waste. Just slice it ahead of time, then thaw only what you need. You can pop it in the toaster, oven, or even on a skillet. And here's a cool bonus. Reheating frozen bread creates something called resistant starch. This type of starch doesn't get digested in the stomach. Instead, it travels to your gut, where it feeds your beneficial bacteria. Resistant starch helps improve digestion, stabilize blood sugar, and support a healthy metabolism. So, to recap. So far, potatoes? Keep them out of the fridge to avoid cancer-linked compounds. Tomatoes? Room temperature is best for flavor and antioxidants. Bread? Skip the fridge, freeze it instead to preserve texture and nutrients. Up next, we're going to look at 4 more common foods people mistakenly store in the fridge: avocado, banana, garlic, and honey. Each one has its own quirks, and you might be surprised at what improper storage can do to your health. But before we dive into the next round, I want to hear from you. Do you usually keep any of these first 3 foods in your fridge? Have you ever heard of acrylamide before today? Let me know in the comments. Let's continue our deep dive into everyday foods that can lose their nutrition or even turn toxic when stored the wrong way. You've already learned about potatoes, tomatoes, and bread. Now let's take a look at 4 more foods that are often stored in the fridge when they really shouldn't be. Mistake number 4, refrigerating unripe avocados. If you've ever bought a green avocado and popped it in the fridge thinking it would stay fresh longer, you're not alone. It's a common habit, but it's also a mistake that can ruin one of the healthiest fruits out there. Avocados are incredibly sensitive to cold, especially when they're unripe. Sticking them in the fridge too soon stops the natural ripening process by deactivating the enzymes responsible for developing that creamy texture and rich flavor. The result? A rubbery skin, a fibrous and unpleasant interior, bitter taste, brown spots, and a serious drop in nutritional value. That means fewer of the healthy monounsaturated fats, gut-friendly fibers, and antioxidants that protect your heart, brain, and immune system. And the worst part? Most people have no idea they're sabotaging their avocado before it even ripens. So how should you store them? Let your avocados ripen at room temperature. Place them in a bowl or paper bag on your counter. No fridge. If you want to speed things up, put them next to a banana or apple. Those fruits release ethylene, the same natural gas we mentioned earlier, which will help the avocado ripen faster. You'll usually have a ripe avocado in 1 to 2 days. Now, once your avocado is ripe, it's okay to refrigerate it, but only for a short time, like 2 days max. To keep it from browning, squeeze a few drops of lemon or lime juice over the exposed flesh. That will slow down oxidation and keep your avocado looking and tasting fresh. And if you know you won't use it in the next couple of days, freeze it. Avocados actually freeze well when you're planning to make sauces, spreads, or guacamole later. Just peel, pit, and store in a sealed container. You'll preserve its nutrients and avoid waste for up to 6 months. Mistake number 5, chilling Bananas too soon. Bananas are one of the most beloved fruits worldwide. They're sweet, filling, and loaded with nutrients. But if you've been tossing them in the fridge right after coming home from the store, it's time to change that habit. The peel of a banana is extremely sensitive to cold. When exposed to low temperatures, the skin turns dark fast, even while the inside stays firm. That's not just a cosmetic change. Internally, the banana's texture starts to break down. It becomes mealy, less flavorful, and loses some of its vitamins and minerals. There's another layer to this. As bananas ripen, their glycemic index increases. That means they release sugar into your bloodstream more quickly. If you eat an overripe banana or chill it too early, interrupting its natural breakdown, you could experience a sharper blood sugar spike. Frequent sugar spikes can lead to insulin resistance over time. That opens the door to weight gain, cravings, type 2 diabetes, and even metabolic diseases, including certain types of cancer. So what's the best way to store bananas? Leave them at room temperature until they're ripe. Keep them away from direct sunlight and out of any plastic bags. To extend their freshness, wrap the stems with aluminum foil or plastic wrap. That slows down the release of ethylene and helps prevent premature ripening. If your bananas ripen faster than you can eat them, don't worry, you can freeze them easily. Peel them first, slice them up, and place the slices in an airtight container or zip-top bag. Frozen bananas are perfect for smoothies, pancakes, baking, or even healthy frozen desserts. Mistake number 6. Storing garlic in the fridge. Garlic is often called a superfood, and for good reason. It's packed with health benefits. It supports heart health, boosts immunity, and even has anti-cancer properties. But if you've been storing garlic in the refrigerator, you could be destroying much of that potential. When you refrigerate raw garlic, especially if it's already peeled or chopped, the cold causes it to sprout prematurely. Those green shoots coming from the cloves, that's a sign that the garlic's chemistry is changing. Specifically, it's losing allicin, the compound that gives garlic its anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and heart protective properties. Even worse, there's a serious health hazard many people don't know about. Some folks like to prepare garlic oil mixtures at home. Chopped garlic blended with olive oil, stored in a jar on the counter. Sounds harmless, right? But that mixture can actually promote the growth of Clostridium botulinum, the bacterium that causes botulism, a rare but deadly illness that affects the nervous system and can cause paralysis or even death. So how should garlic be stored safely? Keep whole garlic bulbs in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place away from sunlight. A hanging mesh bag or an open paper bag in your pantry is perfect. If you like having pre-chopped garlic on hand for cooking, here's a safer option: freeze it. Chop it up, portion it into ice cube trays or small freezer bags, and store in the freezer. That way, you preserve the flavor and most of the benefits without any of the risks. Mistake number 7. Refrigerating honey. Now, for the final food on our list, and it might surprise you, honey. Natural, golden, and often thought of as the perfect sugar substitute. Honey is rich in enzymes, antioxidants, and antibacterial compounds. But when it's stored the wrong way, all of that can be compromised. One of the most common mistakes? Putting honey in the fridge. People do it thinking it will last longer. In reality, it has the opposite effect. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize. That means the sugars inside start separating from the water, forming hard crystals and turning the honey grainy, cloudy, and difficult to use. Worse yet, when people find their honey crystallized, they try to fix it by microwaving it or heating it on the stove. That's a big mistake. Heating honey above 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, destroys its natural enzymes and antioxidants, basically stripping away the qualities that make honey healthy in the first place. So how should honey be stored? Just keep it in a tightly sealed jar at room temperature. Store it in a dark place, like a cabinet or pantry away from sunlight and humidity. That's all it needs. And while honey does have benefits, let's not forget it's still sugar. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's harmless. Too much honey can raise blood sugar, increase triglycerides, strain your liver, and trigger inflammation, just like regular sugar does. Use it wisely. Think of it more like a supplement than an everyday sweetener. A teaspoon here and there, especially when you're sick, can help soothe sore throats or coughs. But using it in all your meals? That can backfire in the long run. Let's recap the next 4 foods we just covered. Avocado should ripen at room temperature. Refrigeration halts ripening and reduces nutrients. Bananas become mealy and lose their appeal in the fridge. Store them at room temp and freeze when ripe. Garlic loses allicin and may pose a botulism risk if stored improperly. Keep it dry and well ventilated. Honey crystallizes in the fridge and loses its health benefits if overheated. Room temp is best. We're not here to shame or overwhelm, we're here to help. You make simple changes that can significantly improve your health and preserve your food's natural power. Now, before we move on to the final part, I want to hear from you. Have you ever frozen avocado or banana before? What's your favorite way to use garlic in your meals? And be honest, did you know honey could go bad from the fridge? Now that we've unpacked 7 everyday foods that don't belong in your fridge, it's time to bring everything together. Let's start with a quick recap and then we'll dive into why these changes matter so much for your long-term foods. You should stop refrigerating. Potatoes. Cold converts their starch into sugar, and when cooked, this sugar turns into acrylamide, a potential carcinogen. Tomatoes. The fridge kills flavor and halts ripening, reducing lycopene, a key antioxidant. Bread. The cold dries it out, ruins the texture, and encourages mold due to moisture. Avocados. Refrigerating them before they ripen stops enzymes from activating, leading to poor taste and lost nutrients. Bananas. The cold wrecks their texture and increases sugar spikes as their glycemic index changes. Garlic. Refrigeration causes sprouting and reduces allicin, the powerful compound that gives garlic its health benefits. Honey. The fridge crystallizes it, and heating it afterward destroys its enzymes and antioxidants. So, why does this matter? It's easy to overlook how food storage impacts your health. Most people assume the fridge is a universal solution to freshness. But as you've now seen, that's far from true. Many of these storage mistakes don't just reduce shelf life, they reduce life-enhancing nutrients. We're talking about antioxidants that fight aging, compounds that protect your heart, and fibers that support gut health. When you store food incorrectly, you're not just risking spoilage, you're losing out on the very reasons you chose that food in the first place. And let's not ignore the hidden health risks. Take acrylamide from potatoes, or the botulism risk from improperly stored garlic oil, or even the blood sugar roller coaster from overripe bananas and overused honey. These aren't small side effects. They can directly impact your metabolism, immune system, and long-term wellness. Simple shifts, big results. Here's the good news. These aren't difficult changes to make. You're not being asked to give up these foods. You just need to store them smarter. Here's your cheat sheet. Store potatoes in a cool, dark place like a pantry. Keep them in a cloth bag or open basket. Leave tomatoes out on the counter. Let them ripen naturally and enjoy their peak flavor. Keep bread in a cloth bag if using within 2 days, or freeze it in slices for long-term use. Ripen avocados on the counter. Refrigerate only when they're soft and ready to eat. Bananas belong in the fruit bowl, not the fridge. Wrap the stems to slow ripening. Store garlic in a dry, ventilated spot. Freeze chopped garlic instead of mixing it with oil. Keep honey in a tightly sealed jar in a cool cabinet, never the fridge, and never the microwave. These little tweaks will help preserve taste, nutrients, and safety. Over time, they can make a real difference in your digestion, energy, inflammation levels, and even how well you age. Rethinking healthy habits. Now here's something worth reflecting on. Many people who refrigerate these foods think they're making the right choice. They're trying to eat better, waste less, and be more mindful. If that's been, you don't feel bad. These are incredibly common mistakes. Grocery stores and even some food labels can be misleading, and most of us just follow what we grew up seeing. But now you know the truth, and that's a powerful thing. Health isn't just about what you eat, it's about how you treat the food you eat. That includes how you store it, prep it, and combine it. These behind-the-scenes choices shape the quality of your meals and the impact those meals have on your body. So don't underestimate these simple actions. They add up. Let's make it personal. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, eating clean, avoiding junk, and still not feeling your best? It could be due to subtle factors like these. Tiny chemical changes in the food you eat. Loss of fiber here, missing antioxidants there. Unexpected sugar spikes from a healthy banana. These things matter. That's why Seniorhealth is here to bring you practical, science-backed insights that empower you to make better choices without the overwhelm. We're not about trends or gimmicks. We're here to help you feel stronger, sharper, and more energized every day, especially as you age. Let's wrap this up here. Are the 7 foods to keep out of your fridge? Potatoes gives acrylamide risks when chilled and cooked. Tomatoes gives cold, destroys flavor and antioxidant potency. Bread gives cold, dries it out, and accelerates mold. Avocados gives cold, halts ripening, and lowers nutrient absorption. Bananas gives texture and blood sugar problems from refrigeration. Garlic loses allicin and risks botulism when mixed with oil. Honey crystallizes and loses enzymes when overheated. Now, over to you. Which of these foods surprised you the most? Have you unknowingly been making any of these mistakes? And which one are you going to change today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss a chance to upgrade your health one simple step at a time. If this video resonated with you, type 1 in the comments. If not, no worries, type 0 and let me know what you'd like to learn next.